Hello, my name is Maurice Levesque, and the reason I'm here is because I have a bottle collection that I've got from the old Pinawa Dam. The way I ended up with this bottle collection is back in 1972, myself, a cousin, and a friend who decided to go camp at the old Pinawa Dam site. There was nothing there except pasture. When I was walking on the side of the river, I ended up crossing over an area and I realized it was an old dump site. So I kind of kicked things around and I looked, and then I brought back a bottle with me. So then I went back to the site, I found it right away, and I could see somebody had started digging. So I started digging just to see what was around. When I pulled up some antique medicine bottles, ink bottle, old ink bottle, the ink well. Got about 50 bottles out, and then I decided I'm gonna go, and I was interested maybe in doing bottle collecting. I went back 3 weeks after, and somebody else had been there again, and this time it was getting closer to the fall. I went and dug some more, didn't get as much, and so then the next year in the spring, when it was nice enough to go camping, this time I started digging, but somebody else had been there, and then that day somebody else showed up. So I started talking, he was digging too, we were almost like side by side, we had a line going. By talking to him, I realized that this person was digging him, bringing him to the flea market and selling him. And then I thought, wow, this is a lot of history here. I thought that it would be a shame to have all these bottles gone. So I decided that I was going to try to give her a little more effort and go collect as much as I could, because it is a big part of the history, because it was the first hydro came from the old Pinawa Dam. I decided to take a day off on a Wednesday after that, and I went back and I did a full day's dig, and that's when I got most of them. When I went back a couple of weeks later, there was other people there, and they were digging, and they had actually found a little different area, in the way they were digging. And then I realized that the ground was sloping towards the river, and where we were digging, we were still too high to get the old stuff at the bottom. So I started a new dig to go a little deeper. So I went about a foot deeper, and that's where I started getting my best stuff. It was the oldest, and it was, I guess, in the older part where I guess there's no truck or nothing was backing up and damaging the bottles that were more on top. So I was getting better results. I found bottles that were exposed, so there was lots of cans and stuff. Ended up getting a book about the bottles in Canada, and sure enough, there was one that was this one here was I think it came out a couple of years before so it was really up to date. Had a lot of bottles in there that I had in the collection, but everything was dirty, and then I realized when I started cleaning them, there was a lot of work. You had to know what to do and what not to do. In the process of trying to clean some, I lost some really nice ones. They would just turn into crystal, but I managed to get quite a few. And then over the years, I still kept going. And then I started collecting bottles that people left, people who were visiting the site and were leaving stuff. So there's bottles from the 50s and 60s that I tried to keep. So I had put them away. I wanted to do more research on how to clean them to make sure I saved as much as I could. So after '85, the government made a park out of it, a provincial park. So where they'd have control over the people that went there. And that's when I decided, okay, they make a national park. This is when I decided really I wanted this to stay with the old Pinawa Dam, with this historic society. People in the community who care about saving history. There's a lot of value here. People don't, if you were to look at these bottles and research it and see how much it would cost you to get them on eBay, it would be astounding the price they're asking for these bottles. They're very rare because they're bottles that people brought with them from the past. Medicinal bottles are the oldest. I do have a 1910 Johnny Walker, a Walker bottle, and a 1930 Walker bottle. I had one that was even older than that, and that one is one of the bottles that crystallized. It fell apart on me. It couldn't handle it. It's too bad because that was a priceless bottle, that one. I like Scotch, so it hurt me even more to lose that one. So there's also, like, there's bottles like the Milk and Magnesia, the blue bottles. Those have more value. Anything with color has value. Old pop bottles, milk. There's medicinal bottles which are pretty interesting. One of my favorites, I'll pull it out because I want. It's called the Davies. It says on here. So it's Davies vegetable painkiller. And I was wondering, what is a vegetable painkiller? In this one here, I didn't dig. I was looking around after I had done all the digging of the bottles. I was looking around and the foundations were still there. So I was going around the foundation, moving blocks of stone that was broken up and put in. And there was kind of a slab, and it was a fancy stone in cement. It was thinner than any of the foundation walls. It was different. It was square side. So I wondered what it was doing there. It didn't fit. So just for curiosity, I just moved it to see what was under it. And this is where I found this one, untouched, like it's like brand new. It's unbelievable. So I did a lot of research on this, and this was, in the States they called it the laudanum, which is a morphine. So some of them, like Davies, and some of them had, like, they mixed something else with it, but it was still a morphine product. And back when this bottle existed, once you had the bottle, you could go to some pharmacies and get it filled. 25 cents would refill it. But then you think, what was 25 cents back in the day? And you realize that was a day's work for a man back in those days. So you translate it to today, and you're looking at $400 or $500 for this to refill it. So somebody had money, was using this. And then one of the things I noticed when I first was digging and I was realizing what I had was how many ink bottles I had. And then I realized, okay, this is not a little town, this is a company, this is a business. And back then everything was on paper. Then I realized, okay, so these guys are running a business, everything has to be on paper. Of course they're going to go through a lot of ink. The majority of the medicinal is related to pain. So when you got all these guys working, building a dam, and then after they're working on site, repairing it and everything, a lot of people are going to get hurt. There's going to be need for medicine.